cracking, everybody? So I just got off a live and I told you that I would record something before I crashed out. So here I am. I apologize for not reading the name, but one of the subscribers during the live had asked me a question, and the question was, did I ever run across anybody in the joint that I knew something about and I didn't say anything? And it reminded me of a story. And I'm going to tell you guys the story. That's what this story is about. So I got busted in 89, got sent to YA. And when I got to YA, I went to SR, and then boom, I wound up in Paso. And I remember I wound up with a homie from Northside Borland, right? Everybody said we were twins, right? This dude was a boxer on the streets, and everybody said we were twins. The only difference was he had green eyes. And but he had been in YA for like, I want to say 4 or 5 years already. And I've always gravitated towards vatos that, I was like that in YA. I was like that in the joint, where I don't want to hang around with the dudes that are just pulling up and don't know anything. I'm not going to learn that way. So me and this vato from Borland, we hit it off really good, right? And I learned a lot from that guy. He was very humble. Like I said, he was a boxer on the streets, skinny ass dude, but he was a boxer on the streets. I saw him get down a few times, and he was good with his hands, right? And, he was smart, he was humble. When you have somebody, especially in YA, that is good with his hands and humble, it's rare. Because usually when you're good with your hands, you might be a little bit cocky. But anyways, me and this guy were really cool. Now, flash forward about a year, right? And he's no longer there. I believe he had either paroled or he had went to YTS. I don't remember, because I wound up going to the little Cambria, which is Boswell's version of the SHU, right? And I got out. I went to a different unit, and like, I'll say this type of stuff talking about YA because it means nothing in YA. But I was the so-called shot caller on my dorm in Paso, that dorm, right? And so the homie that I was really cool with on from Northside Borland, one of his younger homeboys had came, and he had landed on Morro, right? And he was, making a name for himself pretty quick. Like, people were like, hey, so-and-so, hey, he's putting in work, because they knew I was close with this older homeboy. Lo and behold, he winds up coming to my unit, right? And when he comes to my unit, to me, that's my homeboy because of his homeboy, right? The dude that I was close to, that I learned a lot from. So I was like, hey, what's up, Holmes? I heard you've been putting in a lot of work. That's firme. I said, hey, your homeboy so-and-so? And he's like, oh, that vato's not even from my neighborhood, fool. He goes, he's a paisa on the streets. I know he acts like he's from the barrio. And he went on this whole thing, eh? And I was like, the fuck? And it immediately, like, left a bad taste for me, right? But I was like, you know what? He's young. He's just starting his time. I'm going to have patience with him. I was young too. But, I mean, mentally, this vato didn't know. Well, at least I felt like, he's just stupid. And so I told him, I said, hey, Holmes, I don't appreciate you talking about the homie like that, because he would never talk about you like that, and whatever issues that you think are, he's from the neighborhood or not, that's really Northside Borland business. I'm not even from fucking Borland, period, so, that shouldn't be nobody else's, a topic for anybody else but you guys, eh? I said, but I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that, and we're gonna start over. And, right after that, we went on a movement. It was a movement with another unit, right? And we went with the unit next to us, and he had 2 enemigos there. Well, Yeah, he had two over there. One was I didn't like him at all. And he was actually the shot caller for that dorm. I didn't like him at all. I felt like he was living off of one of his homeboys who was actually there with them. Well, these vatos call out the dude from bowling while we're on the movement. So I'm like, in my head, if they jump him, I'm jumping in. If it's heads up, that's gangbanging. And so the big dude, the bigger dude from Azusa says, hey, Holmes, boom, let's go, motherfucker. So he went in there, boom, 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 and he lost that fight. That was that dude that from Azusa had hands. And then his homeboy, another dude from Azusa, goes in there, the one I didn't really care for. He goes in there, which, you know, he should have went in there first. It would have been a good fight. And then after that, a vato from my compa, that had been on the compa with him for a few days already and didn't get down, he goes in third. A lot of people lost respect for that guy that day. But anyways, so he gets down, right? And we're like, Feed, man, you know, that's all heads up. That's gangbanging, you know? So he comes out, and I'm like, you good? And he was lumped up, and he was like, yeah, I'm good, fool. But he was different. Like, I was like, he doesn't have that same energy right now. I was like, maybe he's tired. But come to find out quick, for whatever reason, something broke in him that day, fighting those three dudes the way they did. I don't know if they stomped him out. I don't know. They were in the bathroom, you know? And so he started letting things happen that, you know, shouldn't have been happening. You know, letting things slide where it's why, hey, Holmes, you know, you get your money. You don't let shit slide. You know what I mean? You get off. Fuck it. And he wasn't. And so I pulled him to the side one day, and I was like, hey, Holmes, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on, eh? You good? Because, I mean, he was like, hey, Holmes, you know, I'm just, this bullshit, you know, I got to get down with the... And I'm like, fool, this is what we do. We fight and play handball and gamble, and you know what I mean? But this is what we do, eh? Have fun. And it was different. I don't know. I can't explain it. But it is the first and I think only time I ever saw somebody in a just matter of minutes go from a straight fool to, like, I don't know what he was at that point, right? But I had vatos in my ear. Hey, homie, you should drop this vato leva. Why ain't this? You know, they want to do that. But I'm like, for what? What did he do? You know what I mean? Like, he's not doing the things he used to do, but, you know, he didn't do anything fucked up yet, but they were pushing and pushing. And honestly, if it wouldn't have been for his homeboy that I had love with, I was young and I played favorites, you know, and it wasn't for him. He had disrespected his homeboy that I had love for. And I kind of was giving him more action than I would have gave somebody else. Well, one day, a good friend of mine, we started out as enemies. He was from Colonia Chiques. Lalo. What's up, Lalo? If you see this, we started out not liking each other. We got down a couple times and we wound up being real close. And he was a fuck up. Me and him were both fuck ups. We slept side by side on the dorm. While the dude from Portland had borrowed a cassette of mine. We didn't have cassette players or cassettes or nothing because we didn't have lockers. When you're a fuck up over there in Boston, they take your locker and they lock it in the back, and you only get a little cardboard box where you could put your writing materials, your clothes, and your cosmetics. That's it. That's the only things that can be in there. You know, we don't get food and all that. But when you know you're about to go on that status, you just send your cassettes and shit out. And so the homie from Colonia comes and he's like, hey, homie, hey, somebody has your tape? Oh, no. We're right there at the handball court. And there was a Walkman sitting next to me. And the homie from Colonia comes over and he's like, hey, is that yours? And I was like, fool, you know what ain't mine? You sleep next to me. And he's like, hey, who's this? And I go, so-and-so, the dude from Portland. I go, so-and-so. And he goes, oh, all right. And so he puts the headphones on. Boom. He starts bumping. The vato from Portland turned over and saw it and was like, hey, but like, not in a G way. He did it like more like a scary way. Hey Holmes, hey. And everybody's like, what the fuck? And he's like, hey Holmes, put my shit down, or hey, can you put my shit down? And I don't even think the fool was playing music at that point. He was like jamming. He acted like he was jamming out, right? And then he was like, what? And he goes, hey, can you put my shit down? He's like, hey Holmes, go back to playing handball. I'm right here. I'm not gonna disrespect your shit. And oh no, the cassette was mine. The cassette was mine in there. Because this is what happened. The dude from bowling was making a scene. So Hura walked over and he noticed the homie from Colonia had headphones and the Walkman on. He's like, man, you're not supposed to have none of that shit. He goes, give me that. And he looked at me for a second and he looked at the fool from bowling and he immediately popped the thing open and pulled out the cassette. Because to him, fuck this cassette player, but this is the homie's fucking cassette. So he tried to hand it to me, right? And the Hura went to grab him. He's like, hey, don't grab shit from my hand. He goes, this is his. He don't have nothing to do. And he's like, that fool's on modified too. And he's like, oh, fuck. So he took everything, right? And the dude from bowling follows the Hura. And the dude from Colonia is telling me, I'm going to fuck him up for getting your shit sucked up like that. And I said, let it go, Holmes. It's all good. Don't trip. And he's like, what? And he's like, nah, I'm going to fuck him up. I said, leave him alone, eh? So he's like, man, fuck that. He goes inside. The vato from bowling talks to Hura into giving him his shit back. He's like, that's mine. That's not his. So the Hura was like, here, I'm going to give it to you. Do it again. I'm going to suck your shit up for 30 days. So he's coming back towards the handball court, right? The dude from Colonia sees him coming from inside because I told him, go inside, fool. Just leave him alone, go inside. He sees him through the window. I don't see this. And I look, though, and I see the vato from Colonia coming out to the yard, right? And he's telling the vato from bowling, like, hey, Holmes, give me your fucking Walkman now. And he's like, what? And he goes, that cassette, that was the homie's cassette, this and this and that. And as they're talking, the vato from Colonia is getting madder and the vato from bowling is getting whinier. And the vato from Colonia reaches over and just rips the headphones off of it. Like his headphones just explode off of him. He, give me this motherfucker. And he slapped the Walkman out of his hand onto the ground and busted it. And he's like, that's what time it is, you know, this. And talked to him dirty. And he took it out of my hands where I couldn't help old boy no more. And I was like, he looked at me and he's like, hey, that's fucked up. I said, nah, what's fucked up is if you don't go and handle your business. Because he disrespected the vato's hood, his dead homies. He was doing everything he could to get him to fight, and he wouldn't, right? And I was like, it's all bad for you, eh? If you don't handle that. And he was like, you know what? Fuck that Walkman. I'll get another one. So that was the same time. That was around the same month, 92, around May of 92, when the department, the head of the CYA decided to send raza from Northern California to all the YAs down south, right? And so this dude kind of got put on the back burner because there were juntas. All the guys that had a compa had to go and meet in the library and other places and discuss what was going to happen. And, you know, there was a plan that was, you know, thought up of, you know, everybody get your dorms right. You know, vatos were talking about getting guns, and it was off the hook. You know, why you want to do the most, period, right? So what I told the vatos where I was at, I said, look, the regla that went out was anybody that comes from Arroyo, which was the fish tank, and at the time the raza from up north were over there before they were sent over to Pismo. And the thing was, anybody that comes from Arroyo, if they don't have a level B, which is like a 115, the YS version, for getting off on them dudes, drop them level, smash them, drop them. But if somebody comes that does have a level B and says, no, I co-signed that, I raised my hand, that about, you know, he got off, he just got away, then he can come back, right? So that's what we're waiting for. So this vato comes, the king, he was from San Diego. The vato had balls. Because me and the dude that was my right-hand man at the time, he was from East Side San Diego. So me and him walk over and talk to him like, hey, Holmes, do you have any level Bs or anything from over there? And he's like, nah, well, you weren't getting off or what? He's like, yeah, when we could get at him, we got at him. I got off on him twice or whatever he was saying, right? And I was like, well, where's your level B? Like, how do you get away with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you not just stay on him? And he's like, nah, well, you know what? We were doing this, we were doing that. And I was like, I need proof, though. You don't have no proof? And he's like, nah. And I'm like, all right. I told him, we're going to go ahead and serve you. So if you feel like getting off, you can get off. But you got an issue coming. And he didn't back down. And he was like, you're going to be wrong. And I said, well, it's the way it's going to be. So it was that night. And it was funny because we threw a little junta, right? And every vato in that dorm, because I said, it's not going to be everybody. There's too many people. So I designated who was going to be involved. And every one of them wanted the vato from Bowling. Because a lot of them knew his homeboy and had heard him talk bad about him. So they were like, hey, Holmes, I'm going to... And I was like, what the fuck? Who's going to get this vato with me? I'm going to get on the vato from San Diego then. But who's going to get on him with me? So then, okay, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. Middle of the night, boom, it jumps. Wham! So, you know, I get on who I get on. And in the process, I wound up shattering my right hand in 3 places. Breaking it in 3 places, fucking it up. And I hear the vato from Bowling screaming, you know. So he had a lot of people on him, really trying to hurt him, right? And when it was over, I had made it back to my bunk. And in time, because I had designated 2 dudes to run up to the station where the Juras are and hold a blanket over the window. And as soon as the blanket, it was 3 dudes. 2 held the blanket and 1 broke the security mirror so they wouldn't see who was running around in the dorm. And once that happened, we all moved. And so I made it back before, because I told them, no, do not drop that blanket until everybody's back on their bunk. And they didn't. Them bottles got pepper sprayed up and they wouldn't drop the fucking blanket. So they were grabbing dudes like, I know that guy was involved, that guy was involved. And that Nightman kid, we used to call him Cliff. Those of you that remember that TV show Cheers, he looked like Cliff, the postman, right? So he keeps walking by my bunk, but he's looking at me. Keeps walking by my bunk, but he's looking at me, right? And then finally he's like, look, man, they have your name in the journal today, in the logbook, that something was going to happen today and that you were going to be responsible. And I was like, fuck it. So I was like, well, you know what, fuck it then. But look, I broke my hand, man. My hand was already like a fucking balloon. It was huge. So he cuffs me up. He puts the zip ties on me. He lays me down, right? So there's a bunch of us laying down in the aisle in between the bunks, all in fucking zip ties, right? Well, I didn't know the vato from Bowling was laying, like I'm laying like this. He's down, like past my feet, right? And I hear somebody whispering, calling my nickname, right? I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm cuffed. And the Juras will fuck you up for communicating at that time, right? And I was like, man, what? And I looked and I saw it was him and I go, what? And he goes, did you get me? And I go, what? He goes, are you one of the ones that fucking got me right now? And I said, so what if I was, eh? Like, what are you gonna do? So what if I was? And he's like, all right. He goes, first chance I get, it's on me and you. And I said, all right, cool. So I turn my head back again. I'm tied up and I'm looking, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what? Because there was a thing in YA, the so-called firme raza. The levas weren't supposed to talk to him. They weren't even, they don't have a voice, period. And he had just gotten dropped leva. That's what that thing on him was, both of them dudes. So I was like, man, hold up. And so then I said, hey, leva. And he wouldn't answer me. I go, well, you know who the fuck I'm talking to? You're a leva now, answer me. And he looked up at me and he was like, what? But pissed, what? And I said, hey, did you just threaten me right now? And he goes, I'm telling you, the first chance I get, it's on between me and you. And I go, oh, yeah? And he goes, yeah. I start scooting down. When, why, I don't know any, I start scooting down. This dummy's watching me. When I get where I want to get, I said, hey, Leva. And he goes, what? And I said, me and you are going to get down? And he goes, yeah. And I kicked him right in his mouth. There you go. So, that was the last time I saw him there. I wound up getting kicked out of the institution, transferred to fucking YTS, all fucking in a cast. My hand and wrist are all busted. And that was another experience. But, so I go there and I wind up paroling. I'm in the joint for a while and then boom. That was in 1992. Now, 8 years later, from Pelican Bay, B facility. It's February 22nd of 2000. Those of you, if you know the dates, February 23rd of 2000 was when the big riot happened. So, it's gonna be yard recall. When they say equipment recall, that means you got 5 minutes for the yard to go in, right? So when they say equipment recall, a bunch of us went to the fence that divides the yard down the middle, right? We went over there to wish our friends, our camaradas that we're close to, wish them good luck and wish them well. My primo was over there, one of my road dogs was over there. So we go over there and, all right, homie, hey, good luck tomorrow. Do your thing, don't be a hero. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this again, but let's get through this one first. And you know how it is. So, that's what we're doing. And as I turned to walk away, out of the corner of my eye, I see a vato in shock, right? And I was like, and I looked back, and it was old boy from bowling. And I looked at him, and I said, so-and-so. I said his name, right? And he was like, hey, and he said my name, and I was like, and I told him, come here. I called him close to the gate, and I said, you remember how we left each other in Paso? And he goes, yeah. I said, what's up, home? Do you still want to handle that? And he's like, hell no. Because that was a white thing. It wasn't anything in the big scheme of things. Someone else knew the story that I told, and he knew the dude's mom, and he was like, fuck that Vato, you should have had him washed up. And I was like, he was a kid. He was like 15, eh? I was 17 at the time, and, I wasn't doing what he was doing, but anyways, he was like, hell nah. And then I asked him, I said, hey, you gonna be out here tomorrow? And he's like, hell yeah. And I told him, good luck. And then we wound up in Ad Say together, same yard group in the hole, you know what I mean? And of course we were never gonna be close, but going back to the question, did I ever know anything about somebody and not say it? I never knew anything foul about somebody that I wouldn't say, right? But this vato, like I said, it was a wild thing. I was the one that dropped him leva. I was the one that kicked him in the mouth. I was the one he threatened bodily harm to. And so I just, you want to do that? He said, no. Orale. Good luck. And he made it. He survived it. But later, it didn't pan out too well for him because, things are the way they are in prison. But that's a different story for him to tell if he ever decides to. This video is a lot longer than I ever make, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Remember, be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out.